Joining me now to discuss Democratic obstructionism, the road ahead, what the Republican Party that controls both the Senate and the House will be doing, and how they'll implement the Trump agenda, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, Congressman Mark Meadows. And Congressman, it is great to have you with us. This looks like a very serious impasse in which we find ourselves. Schumer looks like he is running a foreign power, not the Democratic conference in the Senate.
Well, it's taking away from the real substance of the nominees, which are outstanding. You know, you mentioned Dr. Tom Price, and I can tell you that there's not a finer man that understands health care better than really anyone on Capitol Hill, not only as a physician but as a policymaker. And so it's time that we put aside the partisan attacks and confirm some of these nominees.
I'll be honest with you, if we're sitting down to tea, that'd be a great attitude. You're in a war. And obviously Schumer is fighting a war. It's an ideological war. It is a nasty and brutal way to begin a presidency, but so be it. If anybody can handle it, it is certainly Donald Trump. But he's going to need some troops that are not willing to put up with this kind of nonsense.
Well, and I'm one of those. I'm willing to call it out, Lou, and what you're mentioning there is it's all about, you know, everybody says, well, it's time to be fair and come together, and we're seeing that, but we're only seeing it from one side, from the Republican side. And, you know, whether it's a boycott of the inauguration or it's these very contentious hearings.
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because the American people didn't vote for this, and they're going to get, with each passing day, I think we all can agree, they're going to get downright surly about the way in which this new president is being treated, his administration, and they as voters who elected him to office.
Well, and you know, Lou, I'm a man of action, so It's not enough to just talk about it. We've got to do something about it. And so in this, I think what we do is we fill up the legislative agenda. So it's not just these confirmations, but it's real policies that affects moms and dads back home, and make sure that they have to take some tough votes. You know, it's real easy to have a rhetoric at a confirmation hearing. It's another thing when you actually have to take a vote. So I look forward to working with this new Trump administration, who is, I can tell you, is putting in an agenda in this first 200 days that we haven't seen in modern history, Lou.
I accept that, and I am as enthusiastic as you in its arrival in Washington, D.C. I am, however, a little perplexed by the silence of the Senate Majority Leader, by the silence of the House Speaker. In fact, the Speaker, as you well know, has challenged the President-elect in the last 24 hours. I got to be very candid with you. There are a lot of people right now scratching their heads saying, is this the same old Paul Ryan? Is this the same confused GOP establishment that still thinks K Street is in charge of the American government, not the American people, and representing their interests? One Donald J. Trump, President-elect of the United States.
Well, I can tell you the jury is out, but I can also say that the verdict came in on November 8th, Lou, across the country, from Florida to Maine, from New York to California, and in between. People came out and voted for Donald Trump, some that had never voted before. I talked to one lady, she was 76 years old, had never voted. She came out to support Donald Trump. They're not going to put up with the kind of stonewalling that we're seeing, or the lack of support among congressional and Senate.
At what time does it become a crisis in the House of Representatives that you have a Speaker who is in outright opposition to the President-elect, soon to be the President of the United States, and the leader of the Republican Party?
Well, I think it becomes a crisis when we see much of the Trump agenda not getting moved forward, whether it's in the Senate or in the House. It becomes a crisis. I can tell you there are a number of us who are not only meeting with the Trump policy folks, but with policy people in the House and the Senate to make sure that it's smooth. And the American people, nor I, am willing to put up with the stonewalling. And I'll be glad to come on, and you know I'm willing to take them to task if we're not seeing evidence of success.
I think the question that we have moved toward is straight out. At what point do you believe you'll be ready to move against you, the Freedom Caucus, and other conservatives in the House of Representatives against a leadership that is contrary, out of touch with the American people, and working in direct opposition to the President-elect of the United States.
Well, if that happens, certainly we're not going to let any leadership position stand in the way of accomplishing something that the American people want. It's not just me and the Freedom Caucus, it's other members of the GOP conference as we look at that. But I can say this, that there has been a whole lot of working behind the scenes with the Trump administration, with certainly on the House side from Speaker Ryan on down. But it's critical that we don't offer up excuses. It's about keeping promises. Vice President-elect Pence said that. It's about keeping promises, and we're committed to do that.
You're now in the business of doing so. Thanks so much, Congressman Mark Meadows. And as he says, he is a man of action and means what he says and says what he means.